And something that I've learned in this process, and this is more like if you have a larger company that's doing millions of dollars in revenue, if someone's considering acquiring your company, this is something they're going to look at. They need to be able to see this very clearly so that there's transfer in value in a sale.
I introduce a lot of people to, we have a little community. I introduce a lot of people to agentic AI, to co-work, that type of a thing. And memory architecture, there being several layers of implementation on that, being one of them. Why is my system, I'm building out all these files and folders and there's not a single source of truth, there's conflicts, and then it's like, okay, you need to put some memory architecture in place. How do you, what's been can you walk us through the memory architecture journey you've been on? Like when did it first occur to you, like, oh, I have to organize this? Coding is just the fact that you're building out a second brain, and you're building out this like entity inside of a company, and I've worked with some companies where there's several people on the team, and it's like, oh, we're all building this single source of truth where we can come and go, and everything lives here, and managing that. That's just, to me, is something that I think the average person who's engaging with AI at a chat level doesn't realize, is that you can build this entity that's got this brain, and that by itself, like, even if I didn't have all the other capabilities, that by itself is just blows my mind. And so, yeah, how's that been for you in managing all that?
Yeah, I'm glad you extended your question because you gave me a lot of time to think about it. So that's really helpful. I appreciate that.
I'm good at talking for long periods of time.
Yeah, I mean, the first iteration of it is you just use AI and you just use basically the memory that comes out the box. The second iteration of it, might be a file system like what you're referring to, Mike. And I used that for several months in my journey. And that was great for some time. And then I want to kind of distinguish my answer based off of like, hey, what would be of service as someone who's just using AI for general purpose? What would be of service of someone who's using AI for general purposes across a company? And then there's another layer of like, if you're building code as an engineer and your coding starting to get really complex, there's another answer to that. If they work in a terminal, at the very least, everyone should have some sort of a persistent memory system, right? Which is probably very similar to, Mike, what you've talked about here on this podcast or in your community, which is just like, memory of like current day as an example, which if you use Claude, there's something called Claude Mem, which is really good. And it can at least store like the last 50 messages. So it has context on that. You can have a backlog as an example, or you can have like a handoff. So every time that you do something, your AI has memory on things that it's worked on before that. And then there could be something that has like longer context as well. And you can just structure that purely through files. That's like really simple. Throw on Claude Mem on top. Really simple. If you want something a lot more reliable, like if you start throwing a lot at your terminal and you start building a lot of stuff, this is where having something like a second brain is going to be really useful. So this is Kropothy's like wiki, which there's plenty of documentation online that you guys can find. And you usually set this up with something like Obsidian, and also with something like Graphify. So there's a lot of tools like this. You can piece them together. There's plenty of YouTube videos on how to create this stuff. And all that means is like for your local system, there's a map for how everything that you're working on essentially interconnects and works together. And it's like a living memory. What's really cool about it is that you can click into any of it. You can edit any of your files at any given time. It's a visual way that you can make sense of maybe thousands of files that you might accumulate over time. So I think that's a really simple, like if everyone spends an hour to upgrade their memory system, that's going to be really valuable for everybody. And having a system like that can also expand to a memory architecture across an entire company. Now, this starts to get a lot more complex, but this is where you're going to want to start making sure that everything in your company is recorded, as an example, and that all the tools are connected. And so that memory system is starting to build. Anyone can ask an LLM a question about anything related to the company and have current context no matter who said it. Again, plenty of videos on YouTube on how to do that. Y Combinator talks a lot about it, which is a resource I would point people to. When we start getting into agentic engineering, this is a problem that I will just disclose that I have recently solved really like over the last 2 months. So it's still very, very fresh. But this is where we actually start to take everything that I described. You can create a second brain as it relates to your project that lives like in your local machine, if you will. But now, how do we actually translate that into your project, right? So you want your machine to be able to make sense of everything that's on it. But beyond that, you want the AI to now have, this is part of your memory system, a dependency map. Okay. And a lot of this really needs to live in how you're structuring your code on the cloud. So for people who use something like GitHub as an example, this is something that at the very least, once you create it once, you're going to want to make sure that you're keeping up to date at least once a week. If you're someone who's shipping code on a weekly basis, there's a skill that I've created as an example that has allowed me to essentially take my entire repo and be able to create this map, right? But similar to your second brain, now you start to have a map of your actual project and your code base. And hey, when you touch this, this impacts this, 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 and this, and this. Now, here's the thing. There's this only has utility ultimately if it's kept up to date. So the question is, well, how do you actually keep it up to date? And it's a lot of code to ultimately to comb through on a weekly basis to really keep this in integrity so that the AI is actually using it in a durable way. And this is where I would highly recommend that we bring in open source models that live on the cloud for people. So I forget what the tool is that I'm using, but there's open source companies that essentially host open source models on the cloud that you can essentially rent compute power on those models very, very, very cheap. And what you can do is essentially create an automation where at the time period that you choose, that open source model is going through all your code base and just keeping that up to date at the time frame that you choose to really keep that all up to date so that as you're shipping new code, you're keeping an up-to-date dependency map on how everything works. And that stays inside of your GitHub. Yeah, I wouldn't call it a cloud agent, but it's open source model, similar to like an Anthropic as an example, that essentially is working through your code base to keep that dependency map up to date. There's nothing that they need to view. It's all code that they're just organizing and making sure it's up to date. And something that I've learned in this process, and this is more like if you have a larger company that's doing millions of dollars in revenue, if someone's considering acquiring your company, this is something they're going to look at. And they need to be able to see this very clearly so that there's transfer in value in a sale, especially when you have a complex code base. But yeah, spend some time, really like organizing your memory on your system. At the very, very least, everyone should have a second brain, using something like Graphify and Obsidian. And then the very second thing that I would do if you're like a solo engineer or just engineering in general, is build a dependency map, keep that up to date in GitHub so that your agents produce better quality code that don't break your stuff, and know what's going on. And also when you start to work with other people, it's important that these practices stay in place when you're working with other individuals on your code base as well.
I hear a lot of, and we've spoken a lot about the difference between planning and execution. And I'm sure we've all heard the quote of, you give me 6 hours to cut down a tree, I'll spend the first 4 sharpening the axe. What would you say your ratio between planning and execution is when it comes to things like checks and balances along the way for your progress versus actually just sitting there building the stuff? What would you say that ratio looks like?
Nowadays, I would say like 50-50. Well, I guess I'll preface this by what I say by 50-50 is like if I'm building something new for the first time that my product has never seen, I'm spending a lot of time planning. I'll probably even say probably even closer to like maybe 60-70% planning and then
Mhm.
30% executing.